What up, what up, what up, everybody? Live Reality Games podcast coming at you live, Facebook, YouTube, you know. I'm Daniel Ball, and I'm joined by my guy, Steven Stewart. Steven, it is, there's only one thing fitting for this occasion.
We are back, baby. We are fucking back. We are back. Yeah. Classic. We are back. We are back.
We are back. Season 48 of Survivor is off and running. 2 episodes in, 3.5, 4 hours. I have no idea. A lot of content has been digested on top of, in the LRG world, it's a great time right now. There's a lot going on. But for you, first and foremost, it's been a few minutes. How you been, man? What's going on? What's new?
I'm doing well. The spring semester is underway, but spring break is around the corner, and I'm excited to have a moment to just kind of take a step back, relax, and maybe grind out work I've been procrastinating on. We'll see. Spring break has endless possibilities right now.
Hey, you deserve a break. Every time I see you, I'm surprised you're at home.
My office.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. That makes me feel good. It's Friday, and you're already at home, and that's a good thing. But we got to dive into this, man. We got a little bit of time to unpack a ton of stuff. And
I have to ask you this question. We're here, but something's missing, and that's Sue. I don't know how we can come back to Survivor without the icon that is Sue on our TV screen. So how have you been coping with this?
It's so the old saying, it's like, I can't remember the exact verbiage, but it's like, you can always look for somebody else, but you're never going to replace the one that you truly want. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I'm searching for the next Sue, even though I know she won't be found. But
is there someone who's in contention to be a Sue 2.0? I know that won't fill the Sue-size hole in your heart, but is there someone who may be getting close already?
That's we'll get into it. I have some thoughts here on that particular question, and I don't want to be too much of like the sappy part, but like there are some stories out there in this season that are pretty remarkable, and like they kind of tug at you a little bit, and they're doing a really good job for a guy like me that I'm not overly emotional about anything. I keep everything very like tucked in, but like I get fired up about things sometimes, but like I don't like sadness and tear, like not a lot for me, but there's some close ones in this season.
You're on Team Joe and Eva, aren't you?
Yeah. Gotta be, man. I'm a big Joe fan. Clearly everybody is. Everybody wants to be a part of Joe. So let's start there. Obviously, 3 tribes: Siva, Vulu, and Lagi. All right. Siva has Charity, Chrissy, David, Camilla, Kyle, Mitch. Vula has Say, Justin, Mary, Cedric, Kevin, Stephanie, and Lagi has Bianca, Eva, Joe, Shaheen, Star, and Thomas. I think Lagi of the 3 tribes is probably the most animated. Star is a star on that tribe. She is very, very out there and very much going to let you know who she is and let her personality shine. And then you got Joe, who is just the blue collar, just guy's guy. Like, he just, for whatever reason, everyone wants to flock to him. So I'll ask you, Steven, you're a smart guy, you're a professor. Like, what is it the firefighter in him? Like, what is it that makes Joe so personable? Like, why does everybody want to be aligned with Joe?
I don't think we've really gotten to see that secret sauce of what he's doing that makes everyone flock to it. Maybe just because he seems like a person who's going to play a very upright, respectful game, and maybe that's leading people to trust him. Whether they should or not, we'll have to see. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's just because early on, like, he is a huge asset to their tribe and challenges. So people are just like, he's not going anywhere. We're going to keep him around. I don't know.
Yeah, it's he's got something. It's not like, it's hard to say he's got the it factor, but like he definitely has something that people are flocking to and gravitating to. Because you got the California girls with Thomas and Shaheen, and now you got Eva, who basically tells him about her journey with autism, and that's a bold move and a very trustworthy move on her part, and he falls into that in that almost like a dad role. He wants to protect her, and he feels very obligated to that being one of his main missions. And then you got Bianca, you got Star, and they're just kind of Star is out there and she's doing her thing and she's playing hard, and I'm not real sure how the tribe really feels about Star. She might be somewhat like entertaining, but getting close to that almost like Rome, like at some point you just get tired of that.
I mean, I think we haven't, again, like our story from Star from episode 1 was that Star feels a bit on the outs and starting the idol hunt, which again kind of sketches people out early on. And this episode's a continuation. Like, I feel really on the outs. I got an idol hunt, but the problem is anyone who finds the idols can't do Wordle. And so Star needs help. Star needs help.
I mean, you would think you see symbols and like you see these things that are uncharacteristic about the game, and you see them everywhere. So you got to assume they do something. But then when it comes to like this cryptic message that you have to, decode, there's only a few options that really make sense, right? Like, I don't know if my brain would, I may not get it right, but I think I would get close to like along the lines of the thinking that that this word actually falls into. But
well, I mean, at least for her tribe, right? There's no letters anywhere. You have to use the piece of paper to create the letter, which is not as straightforward as you would think. So, but I have to wonder, there must be ground rules against you can't steal them and hide them. You must leave them as is. They are, you cannot deface the pictures.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, all right, how do you sabotage this? Especially like if you're the only one that knows about them. I mean, obviously at some point somebody's going to find out and start.
Yeah, I mean, these are so notable. How would you not find them, right?
Right. Just kind of recapping through episode 1, just for time's sake, because there was a lot. You get a lot of that initial first episode, like lovey-dovey stuff, getting to know you, and then there's a marooning challenge, for Flint and a machete. Lagi wins that. The other two, Siva and Vulu, get to send somebody on a journey. That's pretty typical. You get a journey, and this is a really, episode 1 has a journey where Kyle and Kevin are selected to go, and it's basically they get down. Like, I enjoyed this whole journey challenge,
the kind of the earn your supplies challenge,
right? And there's just different components, and there's a physical and an endurance component, and the puzzle piece, and like it's just a little mixture of everything. It's a nice, well balanced challenge. But you get to the point where you're filling up the water jug so the key will float to the top, and for whatever reason or however, Kyle breaks his jug with his cast iron pan. And like you see it hitting the side of this jug multiple times, and then like eventually it breaks. I'll ask you, Steven, if that was you and you broke your jug, would you have it in you to help the other person, or would you just be distraught and just in your feels about how disappointed you are that you ended the challenge for yourself?
I think there's a good chance the scene would be me kind of sitting on the beach, head tucked into my legs, and like, what have I done? Moping, and then eventually realizing, like, well, he still has to do the thing, so let me go help him.
Yeah, I think it's a good move on his part. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about long term, it's really like, I don't know if that early on in the game that you start thinking long term, but it's good on his part to make the
I think
best.
you always do.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't help because Kevin's voted out, but I think the game begins as soon as you enter Ponderosa and you start giving like people the eyes and the smiles and like that, like you like, hey, get good vibes from me. So when we get on the island, we're on the same tribe. You think good of me and maybe want to work with me, and like you don't you try to be as inoffensive as possible in those early days. So I don't know.
Do we remember if Kyle went back and told his group exactly? He went back obviously with nothing, so they knew something was up. But like, did he tell them exactly? I don't recall either. And I mean, I don't think I would. I would just be like,
I lost.
I lost. That's how it was. It was much more difficult, and he was just a better water getter than I was. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if I would tell them that I screwed up the challenge and lost on my accord. I don't think that does anybody any good. Especially if you go back and you're helping him. Now, I don't think he's going to relay the information of what actually happened as well. So we get out of that, and obviously they bring the stuff back to camp. Everybody is good. Star is happy with the way things are moving. Eva comes clean about autism to Joe. I mentioned it earlier, Stephen. How do you feel about some of these backstories that these players have? There's some remarkable stories out there.
Yeah, I think there's a critique of like seasons 41, 2, 3, maybe 4 that everyone had a tragic backstory. Right? Everyone was tugging at heartstrings. And I think they've done a good job like having those stories, but not having those stories like wham, intro package in your face and then kind of come out more naturally. Between Mitch and Eva, for instance, I thought they did a good job kind of weaving into their stories, especially this past episode where like, giving Mitch kind of a platform to say like, hey, here's how I'd like you to respond when I do stutter.
Now, for you as a player, you just said you're always thinking, as soon as the game starts, short-term strategy and long-term strategy, it's paramount. You're thinking it. For stories like Mitch and Eva, what do you do? Like, can you take them with you to the end?
Yeah, I think so.
And this is me being just cold-hearted. Like I don't think you can be in the final 3 with them. And
I think as long as you are confident in your game, what you've done, especially in comparison, I wouldn't scratch them out. But if my game feels comparable to theirs and they have this extra something with their story and narrative, then I'm going to be concerned to take them out.
Yeah, I mean, Joe better have saved kittens from trees on that fire department. He better have gone into some burning buildings.
Let's say Joe and Eva play the game like this the entire time. They're with each other. Which of the two do people view as the dominant player? So yes, Eva can get to the end with Joe, but if Joe is seen as leading, or vice versa, if Eva's seen as leading the player, that's going to matter a lot more, I think, in people's eyes.
So, yeah, I think you're right. There's certain players that I think Eva, if she made it to final 3, they could win over her compelling story, because I think a lot of it is too, and the story that is compelling is one thing. Like that's great and all, but you also have to play the game. And I think more and more as the seasons go on, I don't know, I might have this backwards, but I feel like the jury is favoring less of the story and more of the gameplay.
I think back to Second Chance with Jeremy Collins beating Spencer and Tasha. Was it the news that that Val was pregnant with kids? Was that what sold the victory? I don't think so. It was a great icing on the cake of what he was saying, but I don't think that was the tipping point and why people didn't vote for either of the other players to win.
I agree. So we get back to camp. Steve is talking about movies. Kyle and Camilla have some similarities. They're starting to build alliance. Chrissy, David, Camilla, and Kyle are not vibing with Charity because Charity tells Camilla if she had to vote somebody, it would be Kyle, and so that starts spreading through camp. And I think that's one of the big no-nos, especially early on. If you haven't even been to a immunity challenge, why are we throwing a name out there? It just puts a little bit of heat on you. Vulu going crazy over Beware Advantage, trying to find what the symbols mean. And eventually they get the word listen, and it's opened, and Say gets her idol. They go to the immunity challenge. So when you're looking at the tribes, are you necessarily thinking like, all right, Loggy tribe just, really did well in the marooning challenge. Now this first immunity challenge, they clean house and do well again. Are you thinking like they're just going to run through everybody moving forward? Or
I mean, both the orange and the green, both the orange and the purple tribes, the Siva and the Loggy tribe, both seem to be kind of neck and neck in challenges. They don't seem to be blowing things out of the water.
Yeah.
It's the poor Vula tribe seems to be kind of lagging in times of challenges. I mean, this most recent episode, 2 players just couldn't pass the balance beam section, right? And maybe that was a mistake, like not having one of those 2 guys be the swimmers initially.
Yeah, it's tough, especially early on, because you're looking for reasons to get rid of somebody. And like if you got 3 tribes and your tribe loses and you're down, you have 6 players, like it's like it makes it staying in the game that much tougher. But eventually Stephanie goes home, and in episode 1, I would say Stephanie is the right choice. I feel like there wasn't a lot of connection. I think she was just like at tribal. To me, it seemed like they were very much like mocking the fact that she's into stars and like this whole like.
I felt like it was a more fundamental question of like, say played fast, Stephanie played slow. What was the right method? I think it's always tribe dependent, and this time, say that was the best method, right? Because that's what worked. She was able to click that alliance, bring them in. Maybe sharing that the idol with them helped achieve that, but they kind of validated her strategy over Stephanie's.
Yeah, I think so. And Stephanie goes home. I don't think it was a big loss for them. It's not like they're winning anything.
They could have won that challenge. You never know.
Highly unlikely. I doubt it, but you never know. You're right. So we pick up in episode 2. Mary is kind of thrown back because she was under the impression that it was Say that everyone was going to vote for, and it was not. Mary votes Say, and it just makes this whole dynamic between Say and Mary kind of off. Say obviously has a conversation with Mary, hears her out, but at the end she's like, I don't trust Mary for whatever reason.
I mean, in games where you've been voted for but not been voted out, do you go back and like just say it's all? Do you actually legitimately say it's all good, no worries, or you're like, oh, I'm remembering this?
So Survivor Angelica. I can say this because I've now been voted out. So, well, I mean, it's this aired last week, and so it was tough. And yes, the one person that was after me, after my name clearly in front of everyone, I had to get rid of her. She's a great person, but in the game, she was very chaotic. But with that, yes, I think if someone says your name, you're never going to forget it. But that might also be a chance to throw people off on a unknown alliance that people may not think too much about. So I mean, there's that opportunity too, which I have a thought on that as we get through episode 2 into the tribal council, because I do want to bring that back up.
Well, we definitely saw last season with Rome and Soul, right? Gunning for each other, but we're able to work with each other and make things happen when need be, right? And so I think it's important to not shut off those avenues just because someone has voted for you, and realize like, okay, there's still a path forward per se, but it's also different when you are deep in the game versus early in the game.
Absolutely. Snyder, what's up, man? He's saying what's up. Amy, Team Mary. Amy's all about Team Mary. I got some thoughts on Mary, Amy. You want to stick around to hear that? We are mourning for Sue. We are. This is tough. I mean, I've got to find someone to latch on to. It's not going to be truly the person I want. I guess my push is Sue for 50. Like,
oh, that could be a hashtag we can get trending.
Yeah, let's go. But as we as we go through this, obviously now we find out that, you know, Star, her name gets thrown out. Now, I'm skipping over the humble traits because that was just too much for me. The toes and the four nipples and all of that. Like,
I think the fair part was just like, you've had a wart and it's a massive wart. How has no one told you that's a wart? That's not a callus. That was my favorite takeaway of the whole thing.
yeah, I think everybody's got a humble trait. I'm surprised, honestly. They must have been struggling for stuff to put in because that stayed in. And
I mean, it's notable. It's fun. It brings character.
hey, very true. It just, I think what it does is it makes them more relatable. Like, they're on TV. It's not this larger than life person. I, as a regular person, can relate to somebody who has some of these,
Like four nipples.
toe issues. Maybe not four nipples, but the toe issues. But we eventually get to Eva talking about Star and saying, well, it's clear in the next challenge, immunity challenge, Star, you're gonna sit out. So with I don't know what she's basing that on, because they've dominated in every single, like, once again, like, why are you throwing a name out there for any reason when you're winning? Like, that just doesn't make sense. What I do find absolutely hysterical is that we get to the immunity challenge and guess who's sitting out?
I mean, so I did read somewhere that Star had recently learned to swim and was not the most comfortable with the swimming challenges. So maybe there's an aspect of that. I don't know. But yes, it was the prophecy was fulfilled.
Yes, definitely. Star now has this vendetta out for Eva, and she's making it known that she wants her out. Unbeknownst to her that Eva is in the in crowd. And so she eventually finds out through Joe, and Joe, he struggled with, do I tell her? Do I not tell her? Am I going to lose trust? And eventually he just fell back on, like, I said I was going to pull her in. I was going to, protect her and take care of her. So that's what I'm going to do. So he eventually tells her that piece of information, which is big. But meanwhile at Vulu, we got Cedric, Kyle, and Justin talking about who is next. They say, Mary is the easy vote, and then Say is more dangerous. So maybe voting for her might be a good case. But, do you see Mary? All right. So clearly Mary, after an episode and a half, she was on the wrong side of votes. And now people are saying that she is clearly just the easiest vote in this next tribal if they happen to go to tribal again. I believe that Mary is very much like Rachel from last year and has an opportunity here to really flip this thing around. And I don't know how you feel, but like, that's kind of what my
like
feelings.
Next episode or this current episode she could have.
I think I think she's going to turn it around. I think she is at the bottom currently, and then at the end of episode 2, she's maybe not as bad as she thought. And I think in episode 3 coming up, I think this is when she starts flipping this thing around and she becomes a little bit more powerful.
Well, I think,
or playing the game.
Well, there'd be the scene of her just running on the beach and maybe idol hunting, and who knows what she has going on. And I think Say not having the idol is also not being voted out is the next best thing for her, right? Because it opens up the possibility. I think you really sell to Cedric and to Justin. Look, Say is going to broadcast everything to everyone. Right, Say is not going to play discreet. You heard her last night, and granted, she was gloating because it was a 4v1 potentially. But do you want that ally at the merge?
Yeah, it's. I think between the two, I'll ask you between the two. Like, if you were on the show and you had to pick an ally between Mary or Say, who are you going with?
So I'm tempted to have Say, because Say would be such a lightning rod. Like, all attention would be on Say. And that's great until it's not. And it kind of makes me think back to season 41, when Sean has to decide, do I vote out Ricard or do I vote out Jeannie? And so do I have to take the strategist or the loyalist? What is more valuable? And it turns out she picked wrong because Ricard votes her out. And so she needed the loyalist. And so I think you kind of start with all right, who's going to be loyal to me on top of and who's going to help propel me farther along? And I'd be if I was the riskier. I think the riskier move is taking Sage just because there's just more unknown, and she's going to potentially rub people the wrong way. And maybe Rome, she goes home immediately at the merge. Who knows?
And she's clear on Mary being the one. And the crazy thing is Mary gets chosen to go. The boats come and they need people to go on a journey, and they select
chosen.
And she goes.
Do you like because when every time it's always been like, choose your person and here's a tiebreaker rule, and now it's like, no, everyone needs to compete. Here's what you're doing. Did you like kind of this method of prescribed choosing that was given to the players?
No, because I think I like the tribes to give me the information on who they choose by the choice itself. Like the choice itself is giving me the information on how they feel about certain people if they're chosen to go on journeys. Now, what I will say is this is a new wrinkle. This is something all right, cool. There's this, but in the end, Mary gets to go, and I feel as though they could have prevented Mary from going if they wanted to.
So easily.
But this is why I say I think Mary has it in her to flip this game, because had she not, they have to be aware of the fact, if she goes on this thing and they're saying she's the easy vote, they got to be aware of the fact, no, she's not. She's the only one that cannot go. Mm-hmm. But instead, she's going and she's all pumped up and excited about it. So her and Thomas and Mitch.
Last question to you. What number would you have thrown out? Would you have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I would have probably thrown 3, just in the middle. I mean, to me, it's very luck based. I have no and to tell me hey, pick a number between 1 and 10. I've done that so many times in my life. It's always the same number. It's 7. So if anybody ever asked me to pick a number, this is for everybody listening. If you ever put me in a situation to pick a number between 1 and 10, it's going to be 7. And if I ask you to pick a number between 1 and 10, I'm always going to be 7. So there you go. You guys know that. Yeah, Mary. I haven't seen Traitors finale yet. That's on the list tonight. So don't spoil anything. Don't tell me. That's a whole different.
I hear Boston Rob comes back from Edge of Extinction and wins the Traitors again.
Yeah, let's go, Rob. So have you tried this? Have you done this challenge that they did for the journey?
I saw someone post on the Survivor Reddit. And so I messed around with it. I think I kind of did dishes in the middle. It took me 6.5 minutes. So I don't think I was really trying very hard. I need to go and actually more legitimately try it. But yes, I have messed around with it briefly.
I did the same thing. I did it a couple different times. And the first time I did it in 8 minutes, much like you, just kind of messing around, just kind of getting an understanding for what to do and what the buttons do and how it works. But then I did it again, and I did it in 6:59. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I'll 6:59 is great. But how much time do you think they actually had to do this? Because I felt I felt like I had 0 minute. I felt like it was just start to finish. It was no time at all. But then I was like, oh, it almost, 7 minutes one time, 8 minutes the next. I felt like that was a good amount of time. If they were given 10 minutes, I feel like that shouldn't be no problem. So I was just curious, how much time you actually think they were given. But if they gave me 3, if they said, if they told me up front, hey, here's here's the hourglass. It's on a 3-minute timer. You got 3 minutes to do this. I don't even think I would try because I don't think I could do it in 3 minutes.
I mean, I hope I could give it a shot. It's like, but it is a funny question of under pressure. How would I do? I'm forever scarred when I blew a puzzle survival challenge in a very stupid way. I'm like,
I'll ask you because Mary brought it up. The season 50, the voting for, choose your own adventure. Like, what are you taking part in that? Are you placing some votes?
I voted for the color that I think had teal in it. I
Okay.
voted that they should have rice. I voted that we should make players suffer and vote someone out in Final Four because I'm evil. I don't want to give them a chance. I love the skewed writing of that voting topic.
Yes.
And then I voted that why not have a live finale, or heck, do 2 finales? I don't care.
I mean, if you want to have like a wrap up like show after it's over, knock yourself out. But like really like do a live finale and like bring them in, make a big deal.
So, to be honest, I don't care a lot, but I have a lot of friends who care a lot. So for their purpose, I voted yes.
Yeah, and what I hope they don't do is the way they've done it in the past, where Jeff goes to get the votes, he brings the urn or whatever back that's holding the votes, and he's like, "Well, I'll see y'all in LA."
I want him. Are you kidding? I love that. It's so
and then he walks through the ocean, and then you see him rise above the clouds, and all of a sudden they're in a studio in LA, and he's like, "Hey."
So did you catch the last Olympics when Tom Cruise gets the Olympic whatever thing, like montages it back to Los Angeles? I want the Jeff Probst version of that as well. I love that.
Yeah. Hey, it's a big one. I mean, they might have the budget might be exponential for season 50. Who knows? So Mitch and Thomas get the journey, so they end up getting an advantage, and Mary sadly does not. She doesn't make
What do you think Mary would have gotten? Because it's clear like they both got different things. So block a vote, a steal vote. Maybe she would have just got an extra vote.
I mean, that's what would make sense to me. Like if you're in the realm of types of advantages, I think that is the natural like progression of those different things. But to me, it's like, how do you were there 3 options and you chose one of the 3 if you won, or is it was just
based off the direction you went?
Oh, gotcha. Well, hey,
these advantages, voting advantages in small tribes are really powerful. All I can say is we saw from Rome last season holding his tribe hostage with an idol and a vote steal or vote.
And I think that's why when you have 3 tribes and you do something like this and you lose your vote, how like disastrous that can actually be because of the limited votes that there are. But Mary loses her vote, and we go back to the tribes. Stephen, if you're Mary, what do you, or even if you're not Mary and you lie?
Thomas lied. There was a game, I didn't play it. I was no way lose my vote, and you just act as if you have your vote, because worst comes to worst, you make a 2-2 tie, and then let everyone else figure out what happens afterwards.
Yeah, so Mitch comes clean and he tells his tribe straight up, like, hey, this is
also I would lie.
This is exactly what happened, and I got this advantage. And then Thomas took your advice, and he said, I had an option to play a game, I chose not to play. I didn't want to lose my vote because votes are so powerful right now. And it seems like everybody believes that. Cool, whatever. And then obviously Mary goes back, and Mary tells her tribe that she lost her vote. What would you have done?
Lie and say like, was the game, didn't play it, and try to give yourself whatever leverage you can, because like you want someone to think they need your vote, and count you as part of the strategy.
Yeah, I thought once she did that, they were just going to be like, all right, Let's just do the easy thing.
Which kind of what the original plan was.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know what happened. I hope on episode 3 we kind of draw out a little more of how this whole tribal went the way that it did. But this is another reason why I think Mary is in better shape than what people or what she actually thought she was, because I don't know if it was her that was able to convince them to vote a different way. But
she looked just as surprised. She looked just as surprised as Kevin.
You know, or maybe this is Say just being a mastermind. I mean, and it's quite possible.
Justin and Cedric.
So I want to believe that, but there's one thing that Say said, and she basically told everyone at Tribal that Mary is on the bottom. And I'm thinking she said that out loud just so Kevin could hear that and think that he was safe, knowing that it made sense for Say to say that, but also like, oh, I'm good. We're staying to the plan and it's going to be Mary.
I mean, I think there's ways you can say that without being as explicit.
But would that be, that would, to me, then that would be out of Say's character from what we've seen in her so far. Like if she was beating around the bush about, you know, and not really saying things directly, but people could very much understand and read between the lines what she's trying to say. I don't know. We've seen it happen in the past where people have said and acted a certain way. You saw Sam, you know, last season do that, and it worked out.
Because the way I see it is like this tribe is a minefield, right? Because you have the 3 guys who are in this alliance. You have Say with an idol, and you have Mary. And let's say the easy route happens and Mary goes home. You have Say and 3 guys, and let's say Say is like, I'm playing my idol no matter what tonight. Let me know what y'all want me to do, right? And so one of the 3 is guaranteed to go home, right? Which is, and if you're Kevin, I think Kevin's worried it's going to be him, right? I think that's his biggest fear. And so I think Kevin going out, this leaves Justin and Cedric kind of in the middle, and Say and Mary hate each other. So they're going to target each other and leave Justin and Cedric kind of the middle ground to do whatever they want as a result. So and there's no idol to worry about unless someone refines it. So I think this is, I don't think this was the best. I don't think this was a great outcome for Say.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because now she has no power. She has, she got rid of Kevin, and the person who was technically the vote at the start of the episode is now in a better position, in my opinion, than she might be. And so what I hope happened is Mary got with Say and was like, look, people aren't going to expect us to work together, so let's play this up.
I dreamed this would happen.
This would be amazing if it did. Like, this would be like gameplay, like next level gameplay. And then at Tribal, Say throws Mary under the bus and is like, you're at the bottom, makes Kevin feel good. But then the reality is that Kevin is the vote. Say plays her idol, just, you know, drumming it up some more. But you know, we kind of glanced over the immunity challenge just because Loggy just kind of dominated it. Star sat out, which I just laughed. I mean, obviously, from what you said, that she, you know, just learning to swim, so that a big swimming piece of this challenge. And if you can't swim, you probably don't want to do this.
But let's be honest, it was truly a balance challenge. That was the secret.
Yeah. Yep. And it you're right. It came down to the balance and you know, coordinating the ball across those beams. But it was definitely a jam-packed couple of episodes. Looking back on it, I think, you know, I would grade it a B for the start of a season. I like the players. I like, you know, how things are moving. I think if I could find a Sue in this mix of people, it might be an A episode. But you know, what are you grading this episode? These 2?
I mean, I'd give 8 out of 10. It's been an enjoyable start to a season. No one from my draft team has been voted out, even though I have say on my draft team, so I thought it was a Connor immediately. Granted, I was the last one the snake order to get, so I just got say as is. I took Justin and Chrissy. Feel good about Justin. Haven't got a lot of Chrissy content. I'm feeling a little forlorn. In terms of winner picks, is there anyone you want to stake out as being the winner after 2 episodes, Daniel?
Oh, I mean, like, I would say Joe is at the top. However, I think Mitch is like, I don't know why, but like his story is compelling to me. Like I have like some like I feel bad for him. Like I have some sympathy for him. He's not like challenge wise, he does fine. Like he went out there and he was hooping. Like in this last episode, he made all of them. And so like I feel like he's gonna be charismatic enough and social enough to get himself in a good position. I think he's one to watch out for. I think Mary's one to watch out for. I want to believe in Mary. I do. She's not my winner pick, I don't think, but I think she's definitely up there. And I think Thomas is another one that I think if he can maneuver himself correctly, I think he's got a good shot because he's social enough, but he's also playing the game well. And I think when you tell somebody we need to sabotage her on finding this idol, like that's good stuff. Like that's how you know.
I guess just
like,
the question is how Shaheen had such an interesting reaction. It's like, do I want to play with a person who do this? Though I have to ask you, if you were in Shaheen's shoes and like someone told you like you have it, just destroy it, would you destroy it or lose it?
I think I would just try to help and not like say I was helping, but
Self-sabotage, not like overt.
Yeah. I wouldn't lose it. I think that would be silly. I wouldn't like that would be just harsh. But I would definitely not help to my fullest extent. That or I'd be like, that's what I saw, like, and have like the wrong letters and stuff. Like now you're playing this game of trying to decipher the code with the wrong group of letters. And you could play that off because she didn't have anything to do with going to find, and matching those symbols up to find the letters. Like she wasn't doing that at all. So you could have told her it was a different combination of letters. You pick it, and she wouldn't have had a clue.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the route I would have gone. But I definitely think I wouldn't have helped, especially if I know, okay. We didn't talk about this. I guess we need to talk about this. Star goes to Joe and goes to Camilla. And then she eventually is like, I'm just telling you. And then it's like, I'm just telling you. And then before you know it, she's told everybody except the person that you would assume she wouldn't tell, which is Eva, because she wants Eva out of this game. Like, where do you stand on Star?
I think if you ever ask me to start a game, would you rather have an idol or an ally? I would say give me an ally. An ally lasts longer through more votes. All right, and so I feel idols like are a secondary approach, and for Star maybe it's necessary. But I appreciate the realization across multiple players, like I can't get this up on my own. I need help. That said, I feel like there's a better way she could have maybe pulled them into it versus like, hey, I have this. You got to work with me now. We're a pair. We're going for Eva. And you're like, oh, okay, sure.
Oh, okay. Do you see Star going home with an idol in her pocket?
I see even better Star going home without having activated idol in her pocket. Like I see Star going home with the little like cryptics.
I got you. All right. So going back to the original question Amy asked, my winner pick as of March 7th is Thomas. That's my winner pick. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Justin.
All right, pizza guy.
You know, I think he's
pizza
in
guy.
Or the pizza guy. I think he's in a. His name is not coming up on the Green Tribe. Hopefully, it continues not to come up. I think he's good enough in challenges that maybe he'll be able to get his team a victory at some point. I don't know. I feel good about Justin.
Yeah. What about the stunt guy? Was it Dave?
David. You know, honestly, I was like, man, this is stunt casting. I don't believe in it. But now I'm like on the show, I'm like, guy with 4 nipples, he's all right. I'm enjoying it.
Hey, if that's how if his casting video opened with 4 nipples, like I think you got to go with him. So
I wish they like showed like, you know, they'll sometimes show like those childhood photos of the players. I wish they showed a picture of him when he was 7 before surgery, just so I had an idea of what it was even like. But maybe it's better without that information.
I've never seen anyone with 4 nipples. However, I don't know if you have you seen Meet the Parents?
No.
He starts talking about milking animals, and he goes, "You can milk anything with nipples." And that's when he said that, that's the only thing that I kept thinking about. But that's where my brain goes to potty and toilet humor. So you can tell I got small kids. So before we get out of here, what's going on in the LRG world? What's going on out there? What we got?
Well,
you've been on the grind. I will say, shout out to you. You had some good interviews. You've had some good episodes, some breakdowns. Like I'm just trying to be more like you. Like,
you know, last week was a party. I podcasted 3 nights in a row. Maybe lost a bit of sanity in the process, but it was a good time. You know, there's a lot of shows coming out and premiering right now, so it's a very exciting time. So I'm not going to say because I'll let you do a spiel on certain games, but Surviving Bloomington just aired its 2nd episode, and so you can catch Surviving Bloomington on YouTube. Episodes come out every Saturday at like 7 p.m. Central Time. I think Outlast just came out with this premiere episode several weeks ago, and so I'm very excited for its next episode. They're doing a choose your own adventure style season before Jeff Probst did it, so that's even more important. I think they're really leaning into the choose your own adventure theme as well. I'm very excited for Survivor Pennsylvania, which will be premiering as well in a week or two, or really soon. I'm very excited. Okay, Sunday, right? Sunday, very soon. Yes, I'm excited to see Survivor Pennsylvania come out as well. Daniel, you've also been talking about a couple of games. Tell me about them.
All right, so I got to pull them up so I don't forget. So the Outlast season 8, I believe is backtrack that. There's a lot.
What Outlast?
Outlast applications closed for the new season, I think at midnight tonight. So there's that. That's the first and foremost. You've got Legacy Trials coming up in June, and they are hot and heavy on that. There is Stranded that's coming out. There is Survivor Angelica that is, posting their episodes for Medieval Mayhem season. Unfortunately, if you're looking for me, you got to go back the last 9 episodes because you'll no longer see me. Well, you might see a little cameo of me in the jury not moving forward, but it is what it is. But yeah, a lot going on. Survivor USF South Florida just held their 2nd season this past weekend. Talked to Derek and those crew, and they said it went phenomenal. They had a brains and brawn theme, and they said it couldn't have gone any better. So be on the lookout for the remainder of season 1, and then probably season 2 to come out on YouTube in, I would say, the summer. So they'll be casting for season 3 probably soon, but they are college kids that are all in on the LRG, and so they're trying to maximize as many games as they can in as much time as little time as it takes. So but yeah, that's what I got, Steven. A lot going on out there.
A lot of games, which is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for a game and you don't know whether to jump on in, just come on in. The water is fine. LRG_casting on Instagram. They have all of the games. There's games every single day that I see, new ones that are, applying. So hop on out there. There's a game for you. And if there's not, hit us up, let us know, and we'll scour the country, because throughout the country there's something for everybody. I will say this: Can You Survive is putting together a fundraiser, and they're putting on a online traders game, a 2-day event, April 13th and 14th. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. $5 donation. Go to Can You Survive on Instagram, and there's a link that I think there's 8 more spots available. So if you're wanting to play an online traders game, you can select either of the days, Saturday or Sunday, whatever day works for you. Both are going to start at a certain time, which I think I'm signed up for on Sunday, and I will start at 4:00 and play some traders, for a good cause. So there's that. But
do you want to be a faithful or a trader?
I can't say that right now. I think I think I could play a really good either or. I've toyed with this, is like, okay, so when they ask me, and I think everyone says this, like, one of the questions is, do you want to be a faithful or a trader? And I was like, I don't care, either one. Like, you select for me. Like, I'm not gonna like get my hopes up on one thing and then get chosen for the other and then have this feeling. But I think either one I would do a really good job at. But I do think there's like something to be said about being like a faithful and like playing the game. And I don't know, maybe I don't know what's harder. What would you say is harder, being a faithful or a trader?
Faithful.
Yeah. That's the way I
specifically, I think it's easier for a faithful to win, hard for an individual faithful to win. Right? Because as individual faithful, there's so much more randomness in terms of your elimination, both being killed as well as in the votes. And so I think it's the game is skewed towards a faithful winning, just not necessarily you as a faithful.
Yeah, so, I mean, hopefully I'm not the first one out, or if I'm a trader, I can
also not the first one out.
Yeah, also not the first one out. Mary said trader all the way. You want to be a trader. So, but Steven, it's been a good episode. We had a lot to talk about, obviously, moving forward. It'll be interesting. We got our winner picks. We'll see how those come to fruition. Usually my winner picks go home immediately next. So Thomas, I'm sorry. But the good news is if you get eliminated, I'll just pick a new person. And who knows, Thomas? Look, listen to me, Thomas. And I know that you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube. Let me tell you, I'm looking for a new Sue, and it doesn't have to be female. Like whatever you want. Like I just need that new person. So maybe it could be you. So just keep that in your mind. Keep plugging away, and let's take this down. Me and Thomas, and I'll come up with a catchy tagline for you as well. And Survivor will be, I don't know, Thomas the Train.
We'll figure it out.
We'll definitely figure it out. Well, Steven, I appreciate your time, man. Friday, go enjoy the weekend. Hey, enjoy your spring break. Go live it up. You're not going to the beach. You're not doing the whole like college spring break vibe, but you are getting away. So enjoy yourself. Don't worry about work. I know how you are. You're probably going to look into it. But take some time for yourself, man.
All right. Well, thank you, Daniel. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll see you for another recap in the future.
All right, y'all. Be good. Be safe. If you can't be either of those, just be yourself. Peace.